You begin by turning inward, not with effort, but with permission. The outside world loosens its grip as your breath slows, and attention drifts gently toward the space beneath your ribs. Inside you, beneath thought and memory, there is a quiet universe already awake. It does not announce itself. It simply exists, steady and patient, carrying on its work whether you notice or not. As you rest, you imagine this inner world like a vast night sky folded inward. Instead of stars, there are living points of light. Trillions of them. Bacteria, microbes, companions so small they escape the eye, yet so numerous they outweigh the stars you can see. They live mostly in your gut, in warm darkness, moving slowly through a landscape shaped by your body. They are not invaders. They are residents. They have been with you for most of your life. Each breath you take gently rocks this inner ecosystem. Each heartbeat sends a subtle wave through it. These tiny lives respond to rhythm, to chemistry, to the softness or sharpness of your days. They are listening even now, sensing that you are slowing down. In response, they adjust, just slightly, as living systems always do. You are taught to think of yourself as singular, one mind inside one body. But here, in this quieter view, that idea begins to soften. You are also a habitat. A home. A carefully balanced environment where human cells and microbial cells live side by side. In fact, there are more microbial cells inside you than human ones. The boundary between you and them is not a wall, but a conversation. Your gut is the center of this universe. Long, folded, and sensitive, it is lined with nerves and coated with a living layer of microbes. Scientists call this community the microbiome. But tonight, you can imagine it more simply, as a living garden that never sleeps. Some microbes help break down food. Some produce vitamins. Some protect against harmful invaders. And some, quietly, influence how you feel. Mood feels like it belongs to the mind, floating somewhere behind the eyes. Yet much of the chemistry that shapes emotion begins far below thought. Inside the gut, microbes help create substances that your nervous system recognizes. Serotonin, often called the molecule of contentment, is mostly produced here, not in the brain. Other chemical messengers, equally subtle, rise from this inner world and travel upward like whispers. You do not feel these signals directly. They arrive as atmosphere rather than message. A sense of ease. A heaviness. A gentle motivation, or its absence. These feelings seem to appear from nowhere, but they are shaped by countless microscopic interactions taking place beyond awareness. Nothing dramatic. Nothing rushed. Just ongoing influence. As your body softens into the bed, the idea becomes less surprising. Of course, mood would begin here. The gut is where the outside world first becomes part of you. Food, water, microbes, all enter through this winding passage. It makes sense that your body would place emotional sensors here, tuned to safety and nourishment. Calm grows when the gut senses stability. Unease rises when balance is disturbed. You can imagine your microbiome like a crowd settling into their seats before a performance. When conditions are right, the movement slows. The noise fades. A quiet readiness fills the space. When conditions are harsh, when stress tightens the body or nourishment is lacking, the crowd shifts restlessly. Signals change. the atmosphere alters. Stress does not stay in the mind. It travels downward through nerves and hormones, changing the environment inside the gut. Microbes respond quickly. Some struggle. Some flourish. The balance shifts. In turn, the signals sent back to the brain change tone. The loop continues, gentle but persistent, like waves moving between shore and sea. This does not mean your feelings are controlled by bacteria. It means they are influenced, shaped, colored by biology working in partnership with experience. Thought and chemistry move together. Memory and microbes share the stage. Nothing is isolated. Nothing is entirely separate. As you listen, you may notice how comforting this idea can be. You are not required to manage every feeling through effort alone. Your body is already participating, already adjusting, already communicating beneath awareness. Even now, as you rest, systems are recalibrating. Balance is not something you force. It is something you allow. The microbiome is resilient. It adapts slowly, patiently, responding to patterns rather than moments. One night of rest matters. One gentle breath matters. These small signals tell the inner world that conditions are safe enough to soften. Safety is not a thought. It is a biological state that spreads when the environment feels kind. You may imagine the microbes responding to your stillness, like creatures settling as night deepens. Activity does not stop, but it becomes quieter, more efficient. Repair processes begin. Communication becomes smoother. The inner universe prepares for renewal, just as the outer world dims. This is not mysticism. It is measurable, observable science. Researchers can see how stress alters microbial balance, and how balance supports emotional steadiness. But tonight, the data can rest. What matters is the felt sense of being supported from within, of not being alone in your own body. You are more than a mind navigating a body. You are a living collaboration, an ecosystem that learned over time how to function together. The microbes do not think, yet they influence thought. They do not feel, yet they shape feeling. Together, you form something coherent, adaptive, alive. You do not need to visualize every detail to benefit from this understanding. Simply knowing that care exists at this level can soften resistance. The body responds to reassurance in many forms. Warmth, darkness, slow breathing, all signal continuity. Inside, microbes interpret these signals chemically, translating calm into conditions that favor steadiness. This translation takes time, but time is abundant during sleep. There is no deadline, no urgency, no performance. Only gradual alignment. As you lie here, you might imagine the inner universe dimming its lights, not shutting down, but shifting into night mode. Maintenance replaces construction. Listening replaces signaling. The system prepares to dream in its own way, long before the brain does. And in this shared quiet, you begin to sense that rest is not something you do alone, but something your whole inner world does with you. This awareness lingers gently, like a held note, inviting you to wonder what patterns emerge when many small lives coordinate their timing, and how this hidden harmony might soon reveal itself as sound, as rhythm, as a kind of quiet music within the depths of you. You begin this part of the journey by listening rather than looking. The body is quiet now, and in that quiet, imagination opens like a dimly lit hall. Inside you, beneath layers of muscle and breath, there is a soundless song being sung. It is not music you hear with ears, but music made of chemistry, rhythm, and response. This is the microbial choir. Each bacterium inside your gut is like a single voice. Alone, it is small, almost meaningless. Together, they form a presence that fills the space. Trillions of voices rise and fall in gentle patterns, never shouting, never fully silent. Their language is chemical, their timing biological. They sing through molecules released, absorbed, transformed, passed along. Some of these voices are calm and steady. They produce substances that support ease, helping the nervous system lean toward rest. Others are energetic, nudging alertness or movement. Some work quietly in the background, keeping balance, preventing disruption, holding the tempo steady like a soft drumbeat beneath a melody. None of them know the whole song. Harmony emerges only because many are present. You can imagine this choir without a stage, without an audience, performing constantly because that is what living systems do. They respond to what arrives. Food enters, and voices shift. Stress passes through, and tones change. Sleep deepens, and the entire choir lowers its volume, settling into a slower rhythm. Diversity is what gives this choir its richness. Different species of microbes specialize in different tasks. Some break down fibers that your own body cannot digest. Others create vitamins your cells rely on. Some help regulate inflammation, keeping internal reactions from becoming too loud or chaotic. Together, they form layers of sound that overlap without competing. When diversity is high, the music is complex but balanced. No single voice dominates. Signals move smoothly, and the body interprets the overall tone as stable. This is when you feel grounded without knowing why. Mood steadies. Reactions soften. Nothing dramatic announces the harmony. It simply feels like things are working. When diversity narrows, the song changes. A few voices grow louder, repeating the same notes again and again. The rhythm loses flexibility. Signals become sharper, more urgent. This does not create illness immediately. Instead, it creates tension, a background noise that the nervous system picks up on. You may notice it as irritability, restlessness, or unease without a clear source. The choir does not act with intention, yet its effects feel intentional. That is the strange beauty of biology. Simple actions repeated across many beings create outcomes that feel purposeful. No conductor stands above the microbes directing their timing. Instead, the environment itself acts as a guide. Temperature, nutrients, hormones, and nerve signals all shape how loudly each voice sings. Your body is the concert hall. Its walls are flexible, alive, responsive. When you are nourished, hydrated, and rested, the acoustics favor harmony. When you are stressed or depleted, echoes distort. The same choir sings, but the space changes how it sounds. The vagus nerve, a long wandering nerve connecting gut and brain, acts like a messenger moving between sections of the orchestra. It carries information upward, not in words, but in pulses. Fast pulses, slow pulses, steady pulses. The brain listens carefully, adjusting attention and emotion in response. It rarely questions the source. It trusts the signal. This trust developed over evolution. Long before complex thought, organisms needed to sense internal conditions quickly. The gut became a primary sensor, and microbes became part of that sensing system. Their combined activity offered reliable information about safety, nourishment, and threat. Mood, then, became a shortcut, a way for the body to summarize what the choir was singing. You may notice how this reframes emotional experience. Feelings are not random intruders. They are reports, summaries, messages composed by many small contributors. You are not failing when you feel off. You are receiving information, even if the meaning is not immediately clear. As you rest, the choir responds. Stillness favors certain voices. Breathing slowly increases signals of safety. Muscles releasing tension reduce stress hormones. Microbes sensitive to these changes adjust their activity. The song becomes smoother, less urgent. This shift may not register consciously, but the nervous system notices. Nighttime is when the choir practices. During the day, food, movement, and stimulation constantly interrupt. At night, patterns stabilize. Repair processes begin. Microbes involved in maintenance take the lead, while others quiet down. The tempo slows. Communication becomes more rhythmic, less reactive. You can imagine the choir rehearsing in low light, fine-tuning balance for the coming day. Nothing is forced. No one is rushing. Biology prefers patience. Changes that last happen slowly, through repetition. One calm night does not rewrite the song, but it nudges it gently in a steadier direction. This understanding invites kindness toward the body. You do not need to control the choir. You support it by shaping the environment. Rest, nourishment, safety, and consistency matter more than intensity. The choir responds best to reliability, not commands. As you lie here, you might imagine individual voices settling into place, finding their notes, listening to one another. Harmony is not perfection. It is cooperation. Even dissonance has a role, creating tension that eventually resolves. The goal is not silence, but balance. The idea of an invisible choir inside you may feel strange, but it is deeply grounding. You are not a solitary performer struggling to maintain emotional tone. You are a collective performance unfolding moment by moment. Awareness does not eliminate complexity, but it softens resistance to it. Soon, the question arises naturally. If there is a choir, and if the environment shapes its song, then how does communication travel between this inner music and the mind that hears it? What pathways carry rhythm into thought, sensation into awareness? As the choir continues its quiet singing, your attention drifts toward the connection itself, the invisible bridge that allows these voices to be felt as mood, preparing you to follow that pathway upward, toward the gentle conversation between gut and brain. You drift now toward the space between places, the gentle passage where communication happens. Not the mind alone, and not the gut alone, but the soft corridor that joins them. This is the gut-brain conversation, always ongoing, rarely noticed, and deeply influential. It does not feel like talking. It feels more like listening, like subtle shifts that guide you before words ever form. The connection is not a single line or channel. It is a network, layered and alive. Nerves carry electrical whispers. Hormones float through the bloodstream like handwritten notes. Immune signals flicker quietly, reporting on the state of the inner world. Together, these pathways form a dialogue that never sleeps, even when you do. The brain is often imagined as the commander, sending instructions downward. But in this conversation, the gut speaks first more often than not. It gathers information continuously, sensing what has entered the body, how safe the environment feels, and how balanced the internal ecosystem remains. Then it sends summaries upward, not as sentences, but as sensations and moods. The vagus nerve plays a central role here. Long and winding, it stretches from the brainstem down through the chest and into the abdomen, touching many organs along the way. Its name comes from a word meaning wandering, and that is exactly what it does. It wanders, collecting impressions and delivering them gently to the brain. Most of its fibers carry information upward, not down. The brain, in many ways, is receiving far more than it is commanding. You may feel this conversation as intuition, or as a gut feeling that arrives without explanation. Before you think, you sense. Before you analyze, you react. These early impressions are shaped by signals rising from the gut, filtered through biology before consciousness has time to intervene. The body offers its opinion first, and the mind often follows. Microbes play an important role in this exchange. Through their activity, they influence what signals are available to send. They help regulate inflammation, produce neurotransmitter precursors, and interact with immune cells that line the gut wall. These interactions change the tone of messages traveling upward. Calm microbes support calm signals. Distressed microbes add urgency. This is why emotional states can feel physical. Anxiety tightens the stomach. Contentment feels warm and expansive. Sadness can feel heavy, settled low in the body. These sensations are not metaphors. They are the felt side of biological communication, the body expressing what it knows in the language it uses best. As you rest, the conversation changes pace. Daytime is busy. Signals compete. Noise from movement, digestion, and stimulation overlaps. At night, the volume lowers. The gut sends fewer urgent messages. The brain becomes more receptive. This is when repair and integration happen, when information is reviewed rather than reacted to. Sleep itself depends on this conversation. The gut helps regulate circadian rhythms by responding to feeding patterns and light cues indirectly. Hormones involved in sleep readiness are influenced by signals from the digestive system. When the gut feels settled, sleep comes more easily. When it feels disturbed, rest becomes shallow. You may notice how stress interrupts this flow. Stress hormones like cortisol change gut movement, alter microbial balance, and sensitize nerves. The messages sent upward become sharper, more frequent. The brain interprets this as threat, even if no danger is present. The loop tightens. Awareness narrows. Calm feels distant. But the loop works both ways. Slow breathing, relaxation, and safety signals from the brain can soften gut activity. The vagus nerve carries these downward messages, encouraging digestion, reducing inflammation, and supporting microbial balance. This is not instant, but it is real. The body listens to itself. Tonight, as your breathing slows naturally, you are influencing this conversation. Each gentle exhale signals safety. Each moment of stillness reduces urgency. The gut responds by easing its signals. The brain, receiving calmer messages, allows itself to drift. This cooperation is not something you force. It unfolds when resistance fades. The gut-brain axis developed long before language. It evolved to keep organisms alive, not to make them comfortable. Yet comfort emerged as a side effect of stability. When internal conditions were good, the organism could rest. When conditions were poor, it needed to act. Mood became a guide, not a verdict. Understanding this can soften self-judgment. Feeling low or anxious does not mean something is wrong with you as a person. It means a system is communicating imbalance. That imbalance may come from stress, illness, lack of sleep, or microbial shifts. The message is biological before it is personal. As you lie here, you might imagine the gut and brain like two old friends who have learned each other's rhythms over a lifetime. They do not argue. They adjust. When one speaks loudly, the other listens carefully. When one quiets down, the other rests. This mutual responsiveness keeps the system flexible. The immune system also participates in this conversation. Cells in the gut sample microbial activity and report findings upward. Mild inflammation changes mood subtly, often before pain appears. This early warning system helps protect the body, but it can also contribute to emotional heaviness when activated too often. Microbes influence this immune signaling. A balanced microbiome trains the immune system to respond appropriately, not excessively. This moderation supports emotional steadiness. Again, no single element controls the outcome. It is the pattern that matters, the overall tone of communication. You do not need to track these signals consciously. The body is skilled at integration. Your role is simpler. You create conditions that support clarity. Rest, nourishment, gentleness. These inputs tell the system that it is safe to communicate softly, without urgency. As sleep approaches, the conversation becomes quieter, but it does not stop. The brain continues to receive updates even as consciousness fades. Dreams may reflect this exchange, blending memory with sensation, emotion with biology. In this way, the gut participates in dreaming too, shaping the emotional texture of sleep. You may feel a sense of humility in this realization. Awareness is not produced by the brain alone. It is co-created by the body. Thoughts rise from chemistry. Feelings are shaped by microbes. The self is not a single voice, but a dialogue. This does not make you less whole. It makes you more connected. You are not fragmented. You are layered. Each layer contributes, each listens, each responds. The gut-brain conversation is not something to manage. It is something to respect. As the night deepens, the signals slow further. The body enters a listening mode. The brain lets go of interpretation. The conversation becomes less about response and more about maintenance. Balance is restored quietly, without effort. And as this dialogue settles into a steady rhythm, you begin to sense that what you call awareness may not belong to the mind alone, but to the entire system speaking softly together, preparing you to drift into the realm where chemistry becomes feeling, and feeling becomes the subtle emotional weather waiting to be explored next. You move now into a quieter layer of understanding, where feelings take shape long before they reach awareness. Here, emotion is not an idea or a story. It is chemistry in motion, drifting softly through the body like weather through a landscape. Some days feel clear and light. Other days feel heavy or charged. And beneath each shift, there are molecules at work, whispering messages your nervous system understands. These chemical messengers are small, but their influence is wide. They travel through fluids, cross tiny spaces between cells, and bind briefly before moving on. They do not stay long. They are made, released, received, and cleared over and over again. Mood, then, is never fixed. It is always in motion, always responding. You may have heard their names before. Serotonin, dopamine, GABA, norepinephrine. They are often spoken of as brain chemicals, as if they belong only to thought and consciousness. But many of them are born far from the brain, deep in the gut's warm, folded interior. Here, microbes play a quiet but meaningful role in shaping their availability. Serotonin is a good place to rest your attention. It is often described as the molecule of contentment, of steadiness and emotional balance. What is less commonly remembered is that most of the body's serotonin is produced in the gut. Microbes influence how much is made, how it is stored, and how it is released. They do not create happiness directly. They help set the conditions for calm. This serotonin does not simply float upward into the brain. Instead, it acts locally, influencing gut movement, immune function, and nerve signaling. Through these pathways, its effects travel indirectly, shaping the tone of messages sent to the brain. The result is not a sudden feeling, but a background sense of ease or tension that colors experience. Dopamine works differently. It is often associated with motivation and reward, with the feeling of wanting to move towards something. Microbes influence dopamine indirectly, by shaping nutrient absorption and inflammation levels. When digestion works smoothly and inflammation stays low, dopamine signaling tends to feel clearer and more balanced. Motivation flows without urgency. GABA, another important messenger, helps quiet the nervous system. It reduces excess firing, softening anxiety and promoting rest. Certain gut microbes help support GABA production or signaling, contributing to the body's ability to downshift. This is one reason gut balance matters for sleep. Calm chemistry makes space for rest. You can imagine these molecules like weather patterns forming over an inner landscape. No single cloud defines the sky. It is the interaction between temperature, pressure, and movement that creates rain or sun. Similarly, mood emerges from interactions between multiple chemicals, shaped by microbes, nerves, hormones, and experience. Stress changes this weather quickly. When stress hormones rise, they alter how chemicals are produced and used. Serotonin signaling may become less effective. Dopamine pathways may narrow. GABA's quieting influence may weaken. The sky does not suddenly collapse, but it becomes unsettled, more reactive, more prone to storms. Microbes respond to stress too. Stress hormones change the gut environment, influencing which microbes thrive and which struggle. This shift feeds back into chemical production, reinforcing the emotional state. Again, no one element causes the change. It is the loop that matters. As you rest now, you are gently influencing this chemistry. Slow breathing reduces stress hormones. Muscles releasing tension change blood flow. The gut environment becomes calmer. Microbes sensitive to these shifts adjust their activity. Chemical production follows suit. The weather begins to stabilize. This does not mean you can think your way into perfect balance. Chemistry responds to conditions, not commands. But conditions can be shaped. Night is one of the most powerful conditions of all. Darkness signals rest. Stillness invites repair. The body understands these cues deeply. The idea that mood is chemical can feel cold or impersonal at first. But when seen through this lens, it becomes tender. Feelings are not flaws. They are signals reflecting the state of a living system trying to adapt. Sadness, anxiety, calm, and joy all have biological roots. They are responses, not judgments. Understanding this can soften self-blame. When clouds gather inside, it does not mean you failed. It means conditions shifted. Something asked for attention, rest, or nourishment. Chemistry is honest. It does not criticize. It reports. Microbes are part of this reporting system. They sense what you eat, how you sleep, how stressed you are. They respond by adjusting chemical outputs. Over time, patterns form. Consistent nourishment supports steadier weather. Chronic stress creates repeated storms. This is why change takes time. Chemistry adapts slowly. Microbial communities shift gradually. Expecting instant emotional change ignores the pace of biology. But slow change is often more stable. Like seasons rather than sudden shifts, emotional balance grows through repetition. As sleep approaches, the body prepares for overnight maintenance. Chemical cleanup begins. Excess neurotransmitters are cleared. Receptors reset. Microbes shift into nighttime roles, focusing on repair and balance rather than processing new inputs. The inner sky darkens, not with threat, but with rest. Dreaming, when it comes, will be shaped by this chemistry. Emotions and dreams are often vivid because the brain is interpreting signals without the usual filters. The gut's chemical influence continues, contributing tone and mood to the dreamscape. Even here, the conversation continues. You may find comfort in knowing that calm is not something you must create from nothing. It is supported by systems designed to restore balance when given the chance. Tonight, that chance is present. The body knows what to do with quiet. As you lie here, you might imagine the inner weather slowly clearing. Not perfectly, not forever, but enough. Clouds thinning. Pressure easing. Signals softening. Chemistry settling into a gentler rhythm. Nothing dramatic needs to happen. Subtle shifts are enough. And yet, a question remains, drifting like mist at the edge of awareness. If chemistry shapes mood, and microbes shape chemistry, then what determines whether the body stays alert or relaxes into safety? What system decides when tension is needed, and when it is finally safe to let go? As this question settles, your attention begins to move toward the nervous system itself, where stress and calm take turns holding the reins. You arrive now at the system that decides how tightly you hold the world. The nervous system does not ask questions. It does not analyze or debate. It senses, evaluates, and responds, all in fractions of a second. Long before you think about whether you are safe, your nervous system has already chosen a stance. It has leaned forward, or it has softened back. There are two broad rhythms it moves between. One is alert, vigilant, ready to act. The other is calm, receptive, ready to rest and repair. Neither is good or bad. Both exist for survival. Trouble only comes when the system forgets how to move between them. The alert state is fast and sharp. Heart rate rises. Muscles tighten. Digestion slows. Attention narrows. This state is useful when something demands action. It helps you react, protect, escape. But when it lingers too long, it exhausts the body. It turns vigilance into tension. The calmer state is slower and wider. Breath deepens. Heart rate steadies. Digestion resumes its quiet work. The immune system focuses on repair rather than defense. In this state, learning, healing, and emotional processing become possible. Sleep belongs here. So does ease. You do not choose these states consciously. They are shaped by signals coming from within and around you. Light, sound, posture, memory, and chemistry all contribute. And among the most influential sources of information is the gut. The nervous system listens closely to the gut because the gut reports on survival essentials. Is there nourishment? Is there threat? Is there inflammation? Are conditions stable? The answers arrive not as words, but as patterns of nerve activity and chemical signals. The vagus nerve again plays a central role. It is the main pathway of the calming branch of the nervous system. When vagal signals are strong, the body feels safe enough to relax. When they are weak or overridden by stress signals, alertness dominates. Gut microbes influence this balance quietly. By shaping inflammation levels, producing calming metabolites, and interacting with gut nerves, they help determine how loud safety signals become. A balanced microbiome tends to support stronger vagal tone, making it easier for the body to shift into rest. Stress disrupts this relationship. When stress hormones rise, they suppress calming signals and amplify alert ones. The gut environment changes. Microbes sensitive to stress struggle. Others take over. Inflammation increases. The nervous system interprets this as ongoing threat, even if the external danger has passed. This is how stress becomes chronic. Not because the mind cannot let go, but because the body keeps receiving signals that suggest it should not. Safety becomes difficult to access, not as an idea, but as a state. You may recognize this feeling. Being unable to relax even when nothing is wrong. Feeling tired but wired. Wanting rest, yet remaining tense. These are not failures of will. They are nervous system patterns reinforced over time. The hopeful truth is that the nervous system is plastic. It learns from repetition. Just as it learned vigilance, it can relearn calm. Safety signals repeated gently, consistently, begin to change its expectations. Breathing is one of the simplest ways this happens. Slow, deep breaths stimulate the vagus nerve. Each extended exhale sends a message downward: there is no immediate threat. Over time, this message becomes more believable. The body begins to trust it. Posture matters too. Softening the jaw, releasing the shoulders, allowing the belly to move freely all signal openness rather than defense. These physical changes alter nerve input from the body to the brain. Calm is embodied before it is felt emotionally. The gut responds quickly to these shifts. Blood flow improves. Digestion resumes. Microbial conditions stabilize. The signals send upward change tone. The nervous system receives confirmation that relaxation is appropriate. The loop begins to unwind. Safety, then, is not a single switch. It is an accumulation of signals. Many small moments of ease teach the system that it can afford to let go. Nighttime is a powerful teacher in this way. Darkness reduces stimulation. Stillness reduces demand. The body recognizes these cues instinctively. As you lie here, the nervous system begins to downshift naturally. Heart rate slows. Muscles release without instruction. The gut senses this change and responds. Microbes sensitive to calm conditions become more active. The inner environment grows quieter. This quiet does not mean numbness. It means openness. In the calm state, emotions can move without overwhelming. Memories can surface and settle. The body can repair small injuries and restore balance. This is the state where healing happens, not dramatically, but steadily. You may notice how comforting it is to realize that calm can be learned. It is not reserved for certain personalities or circumstances. It is a biological capacity present in everyone, shaped by experience but never erased. The nervous system does not judge how long you have been stressed. It does not hold grudges. It responds to what is happening now. Each moment of safety counts. Each slow breath is registered. Each quiet night leaves a trace. Gut microbes adapt too. They respond to patterns of calm by shifting composition and activity. Over time, this supports a nervous system that finds it easier to relax. The body becomes less reactive, more resilient. This process is gradual. Biology favors stability over speed. But slow change is lasting change. You do not need to force relaxation. You allow it by creating conditions where it makes sense. As sleep approaches, the nervous system enters its most restorative mode. Alertness recedes. Repair takes priority. Growth hormone releases. Immune cells focus on maintenance. The gut synchronizes with these rhythms, reducing movement and focusing on balance. You are not required to monitor this. It happens whether you pay attention or not. Your role is simply to rest within it, to stop interrupting the process with effort or expectation. In this state, safety feels less like an idea and more like a background presence. A sense that nothing needs to be solved right now. That vigilance can take a break. That the body knows how to hold itself. As you drift closer to sleep, you may feel curiosity replacing tension. If calm can be learned, when did learning begin? How early did the nervous system start forming expectations about safety and threat? What experiences shaped its baseline long before memory formed? These questions settle gently, guiding attention backward in time, toward the earliest moments when microbes first arrived and the nervous system began its long education. You drift now into an earlier time, far before memory, before language, before choice. This is a place your mind cannot remember, but your body never forgets. It is the beginning of relationship, the moment when your inner world first meets the outer one. Here, the story of microbes and mood begins quietly, without ceremony. Before birth, your body is mostly sheltered. Inside the womb, signals arrive filtered and gentle. But at birth, everything changes. The world touches you for the first time, and with that touch comes life unseen. Microbes arrive not as intruders, but as companions, settling into skin, mouth, and gut. They come from the mother, from the air, from the hands that hold you. This moment leaves an imprint. The body receives these first microbes like seeds falling onto fresh soil. Conditions matter. The way you were born shapes which microbes arrive first. The environment determines which ones stay. These early settlers help teach the immune system what belongs and what does not. They help set the tone for how the nervous system responds to the world. Touch plays a role too. Skin-to-skin contact, warmth, and closeness shape microbial communities and calm the nervous system at the same time. Safety is communicated through sensation. Held bodies learn that the world can be supportive. This learning happens before thought, before belief. It becomes patterned. Milk carries more than nourishment. It contains signals designed to feed specific microbes, encouraging certain communities to grow. These microbes, in turn, help digest milk and produce substances that soothe the gut and support brain development. This cooperation is ancient, refined over countless generations. During these early months, the nervous system is especially open to learning. It is gathering information constantly. Is the environment predictable? Is nourishment reliable? Are signals mostly calm or chaotic? The answers shape how easily the system settles into safety later in life. Microbes participate in this learning quietly. They interact with immune cells, influencing inflammation levels. They help regulate stress hormones. They shape gut signaling patterns that travel upward to the brain. Over time, these signals become familiar. The nervous system learns what to expect. This does not mean early experiences lock fate into place. Biology is flexible. But early patterns create starting points. A nervous system that learns safety early may return to calm more easily after stress. One that learns unpredictability may stay alert longer. These are adaptations, not flaws. As childhood unfolds, the microbiome continues to develop. New foods introduce new microbes. Play introduces others. Illness, antibiotics, stress, and sleep all shape the community. With each change, the nervous system receives new information, adjusting expectations slowly. Emotional tone develops alongside this process. Mood is not taught directly. It emerges from how the body interprets signals. A gut that feels supported sends calmer messages. A gut under strain sends more urgent ones. Over years, these signals help shape baseline emotional states. You did not choose these conditions. They happened around you. The body adapted as best it could. This understanding invites compassion, not only for yourself, but for others. Everyone carries an invisible history written into biology. The past does not sit still. It continues to speak softly through patterns of response. But patterns can change. The same plasticity that allowed early learning allows relearning now. The nervous system never stops adjusting. Microbes never stop responding to environment. As you rest tonight, you offer new information: stillness, safety, predictability. These signals matter even now. They are received and recorded. The body does not say it is too late. It says only, this is what is happening now. The early imprint explains why calm can sometimes feel unfamiliar. It also explains why it is possible. The nervous system knows how to learn. It has been learning since the beginning. Microbes know how to adapt. They have always adapted. Nothing needs to be undone. There is no original mistake. There is only ongoing conversation. Each day adds a line. Each night softens the tone. The story continues to write itself. As sleep draws closer, the body enters a state similar to early life. Reduced movement, soft boundaries, heightened repair. In this state, the nervous system is especially receptive. Microbial communities shift gently. Signals recalibrate. You are not returning to the past. You are offering the present a chance to teach something new. Safety now can reshape expectation later. Calm now can echo forward. As awareness fades, you may sense how long this story has been unfolding, how many moments contributed to the way you feel today. This understanding does not demand analysis. It simply invites patience. And as the past settles gently beside the present, you begin to wonder how everyday choices continue shaping this inner ecosystem, especially through the simplest and most frequent interaction of all, the act of eating. You move now into a realm of daily intimacy, where choices ripple quietly but persistently. Food. Not just the act of filling the stomach, but the delicate exchange of information between the outside world and your inner ecosystem. Every bite you take carries a message, an instruction, a cue for the trillions of microbes that inhabit your gut. And these messages, in turn, influence how you feel, how the nervous system behaves, how the day unfolds within. Imagine a single meal. Its aroma reaches your nose, and anticipation stirs the body. Saliva flows, stomach muscles adjust, and the digestive system begins to prepare. Beneath this familiar sequence, unseen listeners are already at work. Microbes sense the arrival of nutrients, chemicals, and fibers, assessing, responding, and communicating. They are tasting along with you, but not for pleasure alone. They are translating, signaling, and sometimes correcting. Fiber is a particularly interesting messenger. Humans cannot digest it fully, yet microbes can. When fiber reaches the gut, certain bacteria flourish, breaking it down and producing short-chain fatty acids, gentle molecules that influence metabolism, inflammation, and even brain signaling. The simple act of eating fiber becomes a conversation. You provide fuel, microbes create calm. Your mood may not change instantly, but the foundation for steadiness grows steadily, meal by meal. Fermented foods carry live microbes themselves. Yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso all bring new voices into the inner choir. When these microbes settle, they join the existing community, sometimes shifting its composition and tone. They may help regulate chemical messengers, reduce inflammation, or modulate gut motility. They are travelers arriving with gifts, silently reinforcing harmony in the ecosystem. Nutrients speak too. Amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and polyphenol do more than nourish human cells. They serve as signals for microbial metabolism. Certain compounds favor microbes that produce mood-supporting molecules. Others feed communities that regulate inflammation and immune tone. Your body interprets these chemical signals as safety, as abundance, or occasionally, as stress if nutrients are lacking. Food timing carries its own message. Regular meals send predictability signals to the microbiome. Irregular eating introduces uncertainty, which may shift microbial activity toward caution or defense. This can ripple upward through chemical pathways to influence the nervous system. Even without conscious awareness, your internal ecosystem thrives on rhythm, pattern, and expectation. Consider the simplicity of a single, balanced meal. Whole grains, vegetables, healthy fats, proteins, and fermented components create a multidimensional signal. Microbes interpret this as abundance and stability. Their responses cascade, chemical messages flow, nerve activity softens, inflammatory signals reduce. The nervous system perceives safety, and your mood stabilizes. Eating becomes less about energy and more about guidance, a dialogue rather than a duty. When meals are inconsistent, heavily processed, or overly refined, messages shift differently. Nutrient scarcity or imbalance may favor certain microbes over others. Inflammation may rise. Chemical communication becomes more irregular. The nervous system interprets this as uncertainty, even if you are unaware. Mood may waver, energy may fluctuate, subtle tension may persist. Again, no one meal determines fate, but patterns accumulate. This perspective transforms the act of eating. Rather than rushing through a meal, you might slow down, noticing textures, flavors, and the subtle responses within. Chewing becomes a rhythm, saliva mixes with anticipation, digestion begins as a cooperative act. The body listens. Microbes listen. And in response, they adjust their signals, shaping both physical and emotional experience. Mindfulness amplifies this effect. When attention rests on nourishment, the nervous system receives reinforcement of calm. Stress signals diminish. The gut's environment becomes more hospitable. Microbial communities sense this shift and respond in kind. Eating becomes a gentle, intentional exchange, where human awareness and microbial activity align toward balance. Hydration also matters. Water aids digestion, supports chemical signaling, and maintains microbial mobility. Dehydration is interpreted as stress, altering microbial behavior and influencing gut signaling. Even the simple act of drinking slowly can reinforce calm, creating conditions for chemical whispers to flow more smoothly and for the nervous system to trust in safety. Over time, these patterns build. Your inner ecosystem begins to anticipate signals of nourishment and rest. Predictability fosters microbial diversity, which, in turn, supports stability of chemical messaging. The inner choir continues its song with less dissonance, producing subtle cues that the brain interprets as contentment, alertness, or motivation. Eating becomes less a mechanical requirement and more a continuous conversation with life inside. Food does not act in isolation. Environmental context, temperature, light, stress, and movement interacts with dietary signals. A balanced meal in a calm environment conveys different messages than the same meal during stress or fatigue. Microbes integrate these cues, modulating chemical outputs and indirectly shaping emotional tone. Nutrition is thus inseparable from the rhythm of daily life. As night draws near, the effects of the day's meals become evident. The chemical whispers generated during digestion continue their work even after the last bite. Sleep, nervous system tone, and microbial activity all respond. Balanced intake fosters calm, supporting restorative sleep. Irregular or low-quality meals may subtly prolong tension, keeping alertness elevated when rest is most needed. You begin to see food as a teacher rather than a tool. Each bite carries instruction, shaping microbial balance, chemical communication, and nervous system state. Over days, weeks, and months, these lessons accumulate. Small, consistent choices guide the internal world toward harmony. The body becomes responsive not through force, but through gentle consistency. This understanding invites curiosity and compassion. Meals become less about discipline or restriction and more about connection and care. The body listens. The inner ecosystem responds. Your role is to provide information thoughtfully, observing how responses shift, appreciating the gradual dance between action and effect. Even when indulgence occurs, the system is forgiving. Microbes adapt. The nervous system recalibrates. One irregular meal does not undo weeks of pattern. The body responds in time, reflecting both past signals and present context. Consistency, not perfection, shapes the long-term conversation. You may notice the subtle joy in imagining meals as communication rather than consumption. Fiber becomes a friendly message. Fermentation becomes a gentle greeting. Nutrients become letters written with care. The act of eating slows into ritual, rhythm, and reflection. Each meal an opportunity to reinforce calm, balance, and well-being. As you rest tonight, you sense that every day continues this ongoing story. Morning, noon, and evening carry signals that influence the gut and the brain. Sleep consolidates lessons learned. Dreams may reflect the gentle chemical feedback loops that meals and microbes created. The body and mind are in conversation, quietly, invisibly, beautifully. And yet, a soft question lingers: what messages will tomorrow's meals send? How will your choices shape the chorus within, and what rhythms might emerge when nourishment and awareness align fully? These thoughts settle like a feather, guiding attention gently toward moments of imbalance and the subtle ways they ripple through the system, the topic you will explore next. You drift now into a quieter, more sensitive territory, the moments when the inner conversation becomes uneasy, when the harmonious song of microbes, nerves, and chemistry falters. Here, the body is not broken, only signaling that something has shifted. You may recognize these moments as anxiety, tension, or low mood, but within biology, they are simply messages, reflections of subtle imbalance. Imagine the inner ecosystem as a carefully tuned instrument. Each component, the gut, the microbiome, the nervous system, the chemical messengers, plays its part. When all are aligned, the music flows smoothly. But when a note is missed, a section falters, or timing slips, the song changes. Mood shifts become the audible echo of these adjustments. Stress is a major disruptor. Emotional or physical stress sends waves through the nervous system, elevating alertness and tightening muscles. Cortisol and adrenaline rise, circulating through the blood, signaling urgency. The gut responds. Microbes sensitive to stress alter their activity. Inflammation may increase, subtly altering chemical communication. Signals that once conveyed calm now carry tension. The brain receives these messages and interprets them as worry, agitation, or restlessness. You feel it in your body before thought even arrives. Inflammation is another contributor. Even low-grade, persistent inflammation affects chemical messaging. Serotonin, dopamine, and GABA signaling may become less effective. The inner weather grows heavier, clouds forming across the landscape of mood. Microbes both influence and respond to this state. Certain populations may expand under stress, producing molecules that amplify or prolong the signal. It is not failure, it is feedback. Low mood and anxiety are rarely one isolated signal. They emerge from a cascade of interactions, disrupted microbial balance, altered chemical production, nervous system hypervigilance, and environmental stress. Each element nudges the others, creating ripples that reach thought and emotion. The pattern may feel personal, but it is the product of a complex network functioning exactly as it should, communicating. You may notice subtle physical cues, tension in the stomach, restlessness in limbs, shallow breathing, or heaviness in the chest. These sensations are the body's way of reporting imbalance. They are not faults. They are part of a dialogue, a request for attention, care, and adjustment. Compassion becomes the most effective response. Recognizing that biological systems are sending messages allows judgment to soften. You are not failing your own mind or body. You are receiving honest signals. The first step toward repair is acknowledgement, not criticism. Awareness itself is a gentle intervention. Repair begins with small, supportive actions. Deep, slow breaths stimulate the vagus nerve, nudging the nervous system toward rest. Gentle movement, even stretching or walking, shifts circulation and chemical signaling. Nourishment restores the inner conversation by providing microbes and cells the resources they need to communicate effectively. Sleep consolidates these effects, reinforcing balance. Microbial resilience is central to this process. Healthy, diverse communities can buffer temporary disruptions. They help regulate inflammation, support neurotransmitter production, and maintain gut-brain signaling. Diversity allows the ecosystem to recover more smoothly, preventing temporary imbalance from cascading into prolonged dysregulation. Sometimes imbalance persists. Chronic stress, poor sleep, or repeated dietary disruptions may reinforce tension patterns. But even then, biology is not fixed. Repetition of supportive conditions, restful sleep, nourishing meals, gentle movement, mindfulness gradually shifts microbial communities and nervous system tone. Repair is not instant, but it is cumulative. Awareness is a crucial ally. When you notice patterns early, the restless stomach, racing thoughts, shallow breath, you can respond gently, creating conditions for the inner system to stabilize. Ignoring these signals often prolongs imbalance, but mindful attention allows subtle feedback loops to adjust. You may also observe that low mood or anxiety often brings insight. When the inner song falters, it draws attention to unmet needs, rest, nutrition, connection, or emotional processing. The body signals not to punish, but to inform. Each ripple is a messenger asking for care. Patterns of imbalance may feel confusing, but they are intelligible when seen as biological communication. Your nervous system, microbiome, and chemical mediators are not malfunctioning. They are performing complex functions, integrating past and present, preparing you for adaptation and repair. Understanding this shifts perspective from blame to curiosity. As the body rests, these systems slowly recalibrate. Microbes adjust to nutrient availability, inflammation decreases, nerve signals soften, and chemical production stabilizes. The nervous system learns that danger has passed and that calm is again possible. Each night of consistent rest becomes a subtle rehearsal for resilience. Stillness is particularly potent. Sitting quietly, breathing slowly, and observing sensations allows the nervous system to downshift naturally. Microbes receive consistent signals of safety, adjusting their activity accordingly. Chemical messaging becomes more reliable. The inner weather calms. Small clouds dissipate without force. Calm is created not by striving, but by allowing conditions to unfold. Sleep deepens these adjustments. During restorative sleep phases, the body repairs tissue, consolidates chemical messaging, and strengthens neural connections that support emotional regulation. Microbial communities also experience a nocturnal rhythm that aligns with the host's repair processes. Together, they reinforce balance for the next day. Patterns of imbalance, once understood, invite a new form of trust. The body is not capricious. Even when signals feel uncomfortable, they are intelligible, purposeful, and temporary. Recognizing this allows fear to soften. Observing signals with curiosity replaces tension with attention, and attention gently guides adjustment. Recovery, in this context, is both biological and experiential. The systems involved, microbes, nerves, chemicals, adjust slowly, but awareness, intentional rest, and supportive routines accelerate this process. You are not passive. Your choices influence the inner environment continuously, even when imperceptibly. Even transient imbalance can illuminate pathways for deeper understanding. Anxiety or low mood signals where boundaries, nourishment, rest, or mindfulness may have been disrupted. Responding with gentle care strengthens resilience and encourages microbial diversity, which in turn supports chemical and nervous system stability. You may imagine the inner world like a tide. Sometimes high, sometimes low, with currents shifting subtly. Even turbulence is informative. The body and microbes do not seek perfection, they seek balance. They adjust constantly, learning from patterns over time. Your task is not to control the tide, but to notice it, support it, and let it flow. Tonight, as you rest, you sense these cycles unfolding gently. The body continues its quiet work, restoring harmony, calming chemical whispers, and balancing microbial voices. Even when alertness or unease arises, it is temporary, part of the system's ongoing dialogue. Calm can return. Balance can be rebuilt. Your inner world is always capable of repair. And in the stillness, you begin to notice the possibility of resilience, the subtle promise that harmony can be regained, and you wonder how deliberate care, sleep, nourishment, movement, and attention might allow the inner choir to sing clearly once more. You arrive now at the softer, quieter territory of repair, where the body, mind, and microbes work together to restore harmony. Healing is not dramatic. It is gradual, rhythmic, like water smoothing stone, or roots slowly entwining through fertile soil. Change is patient, cumulative, and often imperceptible from one moment to the next, yet its effects ripple outward through the entire inner ecosystem. Sleep is the most profound healer. As darkness falls, the nervous system naturally downshifts, reducing alert signals and allowing repair to take precedence. Hormonal rhythms align. Growth hormone, crucial for tissue maintenance, peaks. Neurotransmitters recalibrate. Microbial activity shifts toward nighttime functions, producing metabolites that reinforce chemical balance. The body uses this time to integrate lessons from the day, signals of stress, messages from meals, moments of movement, and even tiny emotional experiences. Sleep becomes the silent sculptor of resilience. Movement plays a complementary role. Gentle exercise, walking, stretching, yoga does more than burn calories. It stimulates circulation, shifts chemical messaging, and promotes microbial diversity. Blood flow delivers nutrients where needed, helping immune cells communicate effectively. Muscles release tension, allowing the nervous system to receive cues of safety more clearly. Microbes respond to mechanical signals too, their environments subtly reshaped by the rhythm of your body's motion. Even small, consistent movement patterns over time can encourage stability and balance. Nature provides a different kind of healing signal. Sunlight, fresh air, and exposure to diverse environmental microbes enrich the inner ecosystem. Vitamin D production, immune modulation, and sensory engagement all intersect to reinforce a sense of safety and connection. Your nervous system interprets these cues as calm, which cascades down to the gut and chemical systems. Microbes thrive on diversity, and nature offers an abundant palette of signals that reinforce balance and resilience. Nourishment continues to be both fuel and message. Meals rich in fiber, fermented foods, polyphenol, and essential nutrients communicate abundance and stability. Microbes metabolize these inputs, producing molecules that support neurotransmitter function, modulate inflammation, and enhance vagal tone. Over time, repeated signals like these condition the inner environment to expect balance, creating a foundation for more consistent emotional stability. Stress management is another essential pathway. Intentional practices, deep breathing, mindfulness, gentle reflection send repeated signals to the nervous system that danger has passed, encouraging a shift toward the restorative branch. The vagus nerve carries these cues to the gut, reinforcing microbial balance and chemical signaling. This gentle feedback loop is cumulative. The more consistently safety is signaled, the easier it becomes for the body to trust and recalibrate. Even small interventions have profound effects when repeated. A few minutes of focused breathing, a short walk in the sun, a nourishing meal, or a restful nap may feel minor in isolation, yet each contributes to a pattern of resilience. The body is designed to integrate these subtle inputs over time. Healing is never instant, but it is reliable when patience is present. Microbial resilience is central to this process. A diverse, balanced community of microbes can buffer disruptions, adjust to changing conditions, and maintain steady chemical messaging. They are not passive observers. They respond to your habits, environment, and choices, reinforcing or destabilizing the inner ecosystem. Supporting microbial diversity is akin to cultivating a garden. Variety, nourishment, and gentle care encourage robust growth. patterns of resilience develop gradually. Each supportive choice, sleep, food, movement, stress management, adds a layer of stability. Each night of restorative sleep deepens chemical balance. Each nutrient-rich meal enriches microbial communities. Over weeks, months, and years, these repeated signals shape long-term balance. The inner ecosystem remembers patterns more than individual moments. This slow, patient work also builds emotional resilience. When the body is supported biologically, emotional responses become more stable. Stressful moments do not feel as overwhelming. Recovery from low mood or anxiety occurs more quickly. Microbes, chemicals, nerves, and brain work together in subtle synchrony, creating conditions for adaptive response rather than reactivity. You may notice that resilience is not linear. Some days feel easier, others heavier. Patterns of imbalance occasionally resurface, even amid supportive routines. This is not failure, it is the natural ebb and flow of biological systems. Repair is ongoing, never complete, and its rhythm is not always visible. Awareness, consistency, and patience remain the guiding threads. Trust emerges from observing this process. Over time, repeated care demonstrates that the body and mind are capable of adjusting, recalibrating, and sustaining balance. Biological intelligence, once understood, becomes reassuring rather than mysterious. The system is not fragile, it is responsive, adaptive, and resilient when supported. Healing pathways are interconnected. Sleep amplifies chemical balance. Microbial diversity enhances nervous system responsiveness. Nourishment influences both chemistry and microbes. Movement stabilizes nerves and hormones. Each layer supports the others, creating a network of mutual reinforcement. Change in one domain cascades through the system, often in unexpected but harmonious ways. This interconnectedness reminds you that repair is not solely a mental effort. The mind participates, but biology leads. Gentle observation, awareness, and intentional care guide the body, but the work is done through systems that have evolved over millennia. Healing is both natural and guided. Reflection can deepen this process. Noticing small improvements, subtle shifts in mood, and the gentle settling of tension reinforces the sense of efficacy. The body receives this feedback. Chemical and microbial systems register patterns of attention, awareness, and care, further supporting resilience. As you rest tonight, consider how tiny, repeated actions accumulate like layers of sediment. Each choice, resting, nourishing, moving, breathing, adds quietly to the foundation of inner balance. Over time, the system becomes capable of absorbing stress, adapting to change, and sustaining equilibrium. Healing is less about dramatic transformation and more about gentle, continuous support. You may imagine the inner ecosystem as a garden. Microbes are roots, chemical messengers are nutrients carried upward. The nervous system is the trunk that supports branches reaching toward the mind. Your choices, sleep, food, movement, attention, are the sunlight and water that allow this garden to thrive. Growth is steady, persistent, and resilient, even when imperceptible day by day. The beauty of this process lies in its patience. The body knows its pace. It does not rush. It integrates signals, responds to patterns, and remembers context. Change feels slow because it must, because stability cannot be rushed. Yet it is reliable. This is the quiet magic of resilience, subtle, cumulative, and deeply adaptive. As sleep deepens, the body's repair functions accelerate. Growth hormone peaks, immune cells focus on maintenance, chemical signals stabilize, and microbes synchronize with host rhythms. Each system participates, reinforcing the others. Rest is both cause and effect, creating a cycle that fosters long-term stability and adaptability. Tonight, the inner ecosystem is active even in stillness. Microbes adjust to new conditions. Chemical balances continue to fine-tune. Nervous system rhythms slow, allowing restorative processes to dominate. Over time, these cycles reinforce a resilient state that supports mood, focus, and health in ways that extend beyond conscious awareness. And as the body rests, you may feel a gentle trust settle, that with repeated kindness, patience, and care, resilience grows quietly beneath the surface, like roots stretching deeper into fertile soil, preparing you for the next day and the next stage of your inner journey. You awaken now to the fullness of your inner world, though you lie still. The journey has carried you through chemical whispers, microbial communities, nervous system rhythms, and early imprints that shaped your biological self. And now, in this quiet present, you sense the totality of what you inhabit, a shared ecosystem, alive with collaboration and conversation, yet unseen and unassuming. This ecosystem is not a metaphor, it is literal. Trillions of microbes coexist with every cell of your body, guiding digestion, modulating chemicals, and shaping the very tone of your nervous system. Each heartbeat, breath, and thought interacts with these companions. You are not a singular organism but a living network, composed of diverse voices that act in concert to maintain balance. Mood itself feels different when viewed this way. Happiness, calm, sadness, or tension are not just personal experiences, they are emergent properties of a system in communication. Signals rise from the gut, the microbes respond, the nervous system adjusts, and the brain interprets. You are both the conductor and the audience, simultaneously influencing and being influenced. Consider how small changes ripple through this community. A meal of fermented vegetables or fiber-rich grains provides resources for microbes that produce calming molecules. A deep breath strengthens vagal signaling, telling the nervous system it is safe. Gentle movement circulates chemical messengers, reducing inflammation. Each action subtly reshapes the ecosystem. You are never alone in caring for your own well-being. These microbes participate, responding in kind. Reflection reveals another layer. You have lived through patterns of imbalance, of stress, of emotional turbulence, and yet the ecosystem endures. Resilience is built into the network. Diversity of microbes, flexibility of the nervous system, adaptability of chemical signaling all contribute to stability. The inner world is both delicate and remarkably robust, able to respond to changing conditions without collapsing. Sleep enhances this cooperative harmony. As your body sinks deeper into rest, chemical signaling stabilizes, microbial rhythms align, and nervous system tone softens. The boundaries between your experience and the responses of your microbial community blur. You sense a gentle interdependence, you care for them, they care for you, and together you maintain the subtle dance of balance. This perspective softens the concept of self. You are no longer entirely separate from the processes that support life and emotion. Your thoughts, moods, and energy emerge from collaboration. Identity becomes less about control and more about stewardship, caring for a network rather than managing a solitary entity. Each choice, nourishment, rest, movement, attention, is a gentle influence on the entire community. Even emotions take on new texture in this light. Frustration, anxiety, joy, and curiosity are shaped not just by thoughts, but by chemical patterns, microbial composition, and nervous system tone. Recognizing this shifts perspective from self-criticism to curiosity. Unfamiliar feelings are not failings, they are messages from the ecosystem, invitations to observe, adjust, and care. Communication within this ecosystem is continuous but subtle. Microbes produce metabolites that influence nerves. Nerves signal chemical shifts, chemicals feedback to microbes. It is a loop of listening and responding, a continuous flow of information that rarely demands conscious attention but is always present. Understanding this deepens trust. The body knows how to adapt, if only given conditions of safety and care. Balance is not a static state. It is dynamic, fluctuating like tides. Minor imbalances arise naturally, and recovery occurs through continuous feedback. The inner ecosystem thrives not on perfection but on responsiveness. Microbes, nerves, and chemicals adjust constantly to support survival, learning, and adaptation. You, as the steward of this system, provide signals rest, nourishment, attention, and presence that facilitate stability. Awareness of this living network enhances your sense of connection to the wider world. Just as microbes coexist with you, so do countless unseen systems interact with the environment. You inhabit an ecological network internally and externally. Respecting one part, the inner ecosystem invites respect and attentiveness to other networks around you. You notice the rhythm of life, the exchange of information, and the harmony that arises from cooperation. This awareness brings gentle gratitude. Not for something accomplished or earned, but for the sheer continuity of life and the resilience of the systems that sustain it. You feel appreciation for the microbial communities that accompany you, the nervous system that listens and adjusts, the chemical signals that translate inner states. Gratitude softens tension, reinforcing calm, and inviting even more harmonious interaction. The ecosystem metaphor extends to emotion and thought. Decisions, reflections, and intentions are part of the conversation. When you act with kindness toward yourself, through slow breathing, mindful eating, or gentle movement, you provide resources for balance. When you rest fully, you allow recovery processes to engage fully. Each choice becomes a message to the network, a gentle nudge toward equilibrium. Even uncertainty is part of the system. Moments of unease or discomfort are information, not failure. The body and microbes signal areas needing care. Observing these signals without judgment strengthens the inner dialogue. Compassion becomes the bridge between human experience and microbial cooperation. Understanding arises from awareness rather than control. Over time, patterns of care accumulate. Repeated nights of restful sleep, thoughtful meals, and moments of stillness reinforce microbial stability, chemical balance, and nervous system flexibility. Resilience deepens. Mood stabilizes. Emotional responses become less reactive, more adaptive. Harmony is not a destination, it is the ongoing, rhythmic collaboration of all internal components. As the final moments of wakefulness fade into sleep, the inner ecosystem hums gently. Chemical messengers drift, microbes continue their quiet work, and the nervous system rests in cycles of restorative rhythm. The boundaries between self and community blur, leaving only the sensation of being supported from within. You are cradled by the very processes that maintain life and mood, and this realization is both comforting and awe-inspiring. In this shared ecosystem, peace is not achieved by individual effort alone. It emerges collectively, through the interplay of countless agents working together toward balance. You contribute, respond, and observe. Your microbes contribute, communicate, and adjust. The nervous system harmonizes, chemical messengers modulate, and the whole community stabilizes in a dance of interdependence. Peace, then, is not a singular achievement, it is a collaboration. You may sense the profound simplicity of this truth. The inner world is a living, responsive, and cooperative system. Your role is to participate gently and attentively. Through small, consistent actions, rest, nourishment, movement, attention, you provide conditions for the system to flourish. Through observation and compassion, you maintain awareness of its rhythms. In return, the ecosystem sustains you, preparing you for each day with subtle, invisible care. And as sleep finally envelopes you, the journey reaches its gentle conclusion. You rest within a shared inner world, a community of trillions, all working in quiet harmony. The knowledge of their presence is not intrusive, but tenderly reassuring. You are not alone in your body, and the body is not alone in the world. Balance is dynamic, care is mutual, and peace is collective. And as the boundary between self and ecosystem softens, you drift into sleep with the quiet certainty that harmony is a shared achievement, a gentle collaboration you carry within and through every breath of life.